Hi, Dr. Mancini here, and today I want to give you some key gems that will help you improve your brain function. Now, second to exercise, there are two elements that you have to know about in order to really have the best brain function possible. Number one is blood sugar, glucose. You have to make sure you have a continuous supply of blood sugar into the brain. Now, the brain utilizes at least 20%, maybe more, but I'm going to say at least 20% of your entire body's glucose store. So you need to make sure that you're getting that constant influx of glucose, blood sugar. Now the challenge here is if you eat too many foods that have a high amount of sugar, the brain cells in your brain will start to lower their sensitivity to the glucose. Why? Because the brain knows, the cells know high blood sugar is very bad, very dangerous to the brain. So it basically reduces sensitivity. What does that mean? It means you start eating more and more sugar to try to get the same sugar hit. The problem with that is it continues to reduce sensitivity, and then you end up going in the wrong direction, which is diabetes, high blood sugar, and so on. The other end of the spectrum is if your blood sugar is too low, if you're not eating enough, if you're skipping meals and you have low blood sugar, how does that look? Basically, you become irritable if you don't eat, you feel tired. So there's both ends of that. And a real simple way to look at this is if you get irritable or fatigued if you don't eat soon enough, that's hypoglycemia. And if you're energized after your meal, that's still hypoglycemia. Your energy should be even across before meals and after meals. Now, if you get fatigued after meals, if you feel tired, that's hyperglycemia, moving more toward insulin resistance or diabetes down the road. Both of those will impact brain function. So one of the ways you can help stabilize your blood sugar is to slightly reduce your carbohydrate intake to the degree that your energy levels stay even going into a meal and coming out of a meal. Another way to do this is not only to lower your carbohydrate content, is to increase your fats and your protein. So as you lower your carbohydrate content, you increase your fats and protein slightly until your energy is even going into meals and coming out of meals. That's one way practically in your everyday life you can know that your blood sugar is relatively stable. Now, ultimately, the bottom line way of looking at it is through your blood work, blood tests, and that's an easy way to do it. It's something we do every day. But that's on the blood sugar side. Now, the other side of it is oxygen. Your cells, your brain cells need constant influx of oxygen going in and out of them. Oxygen is a critical element to keep a cell alive. Now, as your oxygen levels will go down, and it can go down due to anemia, inability to utilize the transporter, because iron is what takes oxygen into the cell. So if you have anemia, you have low iron, you're not taking oxygen in through the cells. You can have digestive issues, which means your inability to absorb iron. You're eating a lot of iron-rich foods, but you have a lot of digestive issues. That's another rationale, another reason. You can also have issues with lungs. If your lung function is down, you're not getting oxygen in. So those are all variables. Now, what does that look like? Well, here's the situation. Every cell, every brain cell requires oxygen. The less oxygen the brain cell has, the closer it gets to what we call threshold. When it hits threshold, that means the cells are under-functioning, they're underperforming because they're kind of floating up to the top. Kind of like, think about it like a fish. How do you know a fish is not doing too well or it's dead? It hits the surface, right? Well, brain cells are the same. The less oxygen they have, the closer they are to what we call threshold. When you hit threshold, you increase your sensitivity to pain. You increase your sensitivity to any stimulus. Your symptoms will come on quicker because the cells don't have a lot of wiggle room. Basically, they're right there at the border. So anything that happens, anything from a physical to emotional component, boom, it hits the threshold. And when it hits threshold, you have the symptoms. So you're more prone to have pain. You're more prone to have emotional highs and lows. You're more prone to have any symptom just because the oxygen capacity in the cell has reduced. And when it reduces, it gets closer to threshold. How do you check for low oxygen levels? Number one, real simple. A simple blood test, a CBC. A CBC will tell us, not only will it tell us your oxygen capacity, but it also tell us what's going on with the blood sugar. So CBC will cover a lot. But I generally recommend a comprehensive blood chemistry panel that really looks at every factor, not only oxygen and glucose, but also checks for inflammatory issues. Because if you have inflammation in the blood, you're also going to have a lot of problems with brain function. So inflammation has to also be checked. So I added another component. We have oxygen, we have glucose, we have inflammation. Those are easily checked through a blood chemistry panel. Make sure you have it done by your doctor. If you are a patient, we can have it checked, and we can give you some direction from that point. Hopefully this helps. Good luck.